You think there's some perfect line, some dark little trick, some hidden question that makes a woman open up and say yes. But the truth is, the moment you go hunting for a trick, you already radiate the exact energy that gets you rejected. You are not losing because you don't know enough psychology. You are losing because you are trying to bypass what intimacy actually responds to. And intimacy does not respond to pressure. It responds to safety. It responds to clarity. It responds to a man who is not begging to be chosen. If you need regular reminders like this, subscribe now, because the world is full of soft lies, thirsty advice, and cheap tactics that leave you weaker than they found you. You do not need more seductive nonsense. You need truth you can actually use when your chest gets tight, your mind starts racing, and your mouth wants to perform instead of speak honestly. Here's what it really means when you ask a woman a question that leads to intimacy without rejection. It does not mean you discover a verbal cheat code. It means you stop trying to take intimacy and start learning how to reveal whether intimacy is actually available. That is a different game. In fact, it's not a game at all. That's called alignment. That's called self-respect. That's called being strong enough to want something without needing to force it. Most men get this wrong because they think rejection happens at the moment of the ask. It doesn't. Rejection usually happens long before the question ever leaves your lips. It happens in your frame. It happens in your neediness. It happens in the way you show up already, hoping she'll rescue you from your own doubt. You ask from fear. She feels pressure. You ask from emptiness. She feels the grab. You ask from performance. She feels the script. And then you wonder why even your confident words fall flat. Because women do not just hear the words. They hear the weight behind them. That's the misconception. You think the right question creates desire. Hard truth. The right question only reveals the desire or the lack of it that is already there. Your words don't manufacture real intimacy. They expose whether the connection has enough truth in it to move forward. And why does this happen? Root cause. Listen carefully. Most men are not asking for intimacy. They are asking for relief. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from tension. Relief from the fear of not being enough. So instead of being present, they become strategic. Instead of being grounded, they become clever. Instead of being honest, they become manipulative. They start scanning for signs, calculating timing, trying to read her like a lock they need to pick. But a woman is not a lock, and you are not a thief. When you approach intimacy like something to extract, you become smaller. You stop listening. You stop observing. You stop leading with your center. You start chasing outcomes. You start over-talking. You start proving. You start leaning in with your words because you're afraid your presence alone is not enough. That fear leaks out of everything. And it costs you more than one awkward conversation. It costs you your masculine clarity. It costs you your nervous system. It costs you your dignity. It teaches you to disconnect from your own standards and become obsessed with reactions. Now your self-worth rises and falls on whether she smiles, whether she texts back, whether she seems warm, whether she gives you access. That is not power. That's dependency wearing cologne. So reframe this right now. The goal is not to ask a question she can't resist. The goal is to ask the kind of question only a self-respecting man would ask. A question that gives truth room to breathe. A question that invites depth without demanding it. A question that makes it easy for her to be honest and easy for you to stay solid, whatever the answer is. Because when you stop fearing the answer, your presence changes. And that is what women respond to. Not because it's a trick, because it's rare. The man who creates real intimacy is not the loudest man, not the smoothest man, not the man with the most lines. He is the man who is not trying to get around rejection by hiding his desire inside cleverness. He can look at a woman and let his interest be clean. He can enjoy her without collapsing into her. He can feel attraction without becoming chaotic. He can ask direct questions without sounding like a salesman trying to close. He knows that no is information, not annihilation. That's the man. He is grounded. He is awake. He is not in a hurry because he has a life to return to. He has work to do, standards to keep, a body to strengthen, a mind to discipline, a future to build. He does not approach women like they are the source of his identity. He approaches from overflow, not starvation. And because of that, when he speaks, there is no sticky energy on it, no hidden invoice, no desperation disguised as charm. He doesn't ask, how do I get her to give me intimacy? He asks, is there enough trust, interest, and emotional honesty here to deepen this connection? That question alone separates men from boys. So what do you actually ask? You ask questions that uncover comfort, desire, and boundaries without trying to override them. You ask, what makes you feel genuinely close to someone? You ask, what instantly shuts you down with a man? You ask, when do you feel most safe to open up? You ask, what does intimacy actually mean to you? You ask, do you like taking things slow, or do you trust chemistry quickly when it feels right? You ask, what kind of energy in a man makes you relax? You ask, what makes you feel pursued in a good way and what feels like pressure? Do you hear the difference? These are not questions asked by a manipulator hunting for leverage. These are questions asked by a centered man who wants truth instead of fantasy. He wants to know her world, not conquer it. He wants to understand her pace, not overpower it. And the paradox is this: the less you try to force intimacy, the more possible intimacy becomes. Because pressure closes, presence opens, neediness contracts, certainty relaxes, fantasy performs, reality connects. A lot of men don't want to hear that because they're addicted to shortcuts. They want a phrase with guaranteed results. They want a line that removes uncertainty. But there is no mature life without uncertainty. There is no masculine growth without the capacity to stand in tension and remain composed. You want to become more attractive? Learn to stay calm when you don't control the outcome. Learn to speak clearly without clinging to what comes back. Learn to tolerate silence without scrambling to fill it. That's called emotional weight. That's called inner authority. And yes, ask the question, but ask it from stillness. That matters more than the wording. You can say a beautiful sentence from a needy nervous system and it will sound wrong. You can say a simple sentence from a grounded nervous system and it will land like truth. So before you ever ask anything, check yourself. Are you trying to connect or are you trying to secure? Are you trying to understand or are you trying to impress? Are you trying to share a moment or are you trying to escape your loneliness for the night? Be honest, because women can feel when your interest is clean, and they can feel when your interest comes with hunger teeth. Now let's go deeper. A woman does not open because you cornered her logically. She opens when your energy gives her room to remain herself, when she doesn't feel managed, when she doesn't feel evaluated, when she doesn't feel like one wrong answer makes her the villain in your story. You want less rejection? Stop making your desire her burden. Stop asking in ways that make her responsible for your ego. Stop using intensity to compensate for lack of groundedness. Do this instead. Slow down your tempo. Lower your need to perform. Make eye contact without staring like you're trying to dominate. Listen fully to what she says instead of waiting for your next move. If the moment is warm, say what you actually mean in plain language. I like being around you. I feel a strong connection with you. I'm curious what intimacy means to you when it feels real. I don't want to assume your pace, so tell me what feels good and what doesn't. That is strength. Clear, mature, respectful, alive. Stop using vague innuendo when what you want is honesty. Stop pretending you're casual when you're not. Stop acting detached to look powerful. That fake indifference fools nobody worth having. It only attracts confusion. And confused connections always collect a bill later. You stop chasing mixed signals. You stop romanticizing unavailable people. You stop trying to earn intimacy from someone who only gives you breadcrumbs. You stop turning chemistry into a hallucination. If she is warm, open, engaged, present, and responsive, you proceed with calm clarity. If she is evasive, distant, inconsistent, or clearly closed, you accept reality before your ego builds a fantasy on top of it. That's called discernment. And discernment is one of the sexiest traits a man can build because it means he is not easily baited by potential. He pays attention to what is real. The man you need to become does not collapse when desire shows up. He can feel heat and still think clearly. He can be flirtatious without becoming sloppy. He can be direct without becoming crude. He can hear yes without becoming arrogant and hear no without becoming bitter. He respects timing. He respects consent. He respects himself enough not to beg for what is not freely given. Read that again in your mind if you have to. He respects himself enough not to beg for what is not freely given. That alone will save you years. Because most rejection wounds men so deeply, not because the woman was extraordinary, but because the man had built his whole sense of worth around the possibility of being validated by her. So when she pulls back, it feels like exposure, like humiliation, like proof that he is not enough. But that is a lie. Her response is not a verdict on your worth. It is feedback on fit, timing, energy, and connection. Sometimes it is about you, sometimes it isn't. Mature men can tell the difference. And if it is about you, good, good. Then you have something to refine. Maybe you were rushed, maybe you were performative, maybe you were unclear, maybe you were reading lust where there was only politeness. Fine, learn, adjust, grow. But never degrade yourself trying to talk someone into what they do not naturally want with you. You want a tight sequence? Here it is. First, regulate yourself before you speak. Breathe. Slow down. Drop the performance. Second, establish connection before escalation, not fake rapport, real attention. Third, ask questions that reveal her internal world, not just her availability to you. Fourth, listen for comfort, curiosity, and reciprocity. If those are absent, do not force depth. Fifth, state your own energy cleanly, not as pressure, not as a demand, as truth. Sixth, give space after you speak. Let her answer. Let the moment breathe. Seventh, accept the answer with dignity. If it's yes, stay grounded. If it's no, stay grounded. Eighth, redirect your energy back into your own life immediately. Your body, your work, your mission, your standards, your circle, your growth. This is how you stop making women the center of your emotional stability. And once that happens, everything changes. Your voice changes. Your eyes change. Your timing changes. You stop asking from panic. You stop over-texting. You stop interpreting delayed responses like spiritual warfare. You stop trying to become irresistible and start becoming real. That's when your presence gets heavier, cleaner, more trustworthy, more magnetic. Not because you learned dark psychology, because you dropped dark energy. Because the darkest thing in most interactions is not her mystery. It is your own hidden fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of not being chosen, fear of hearing no. Face that fear and half your problems disappear before the conversation even starts. So if you want a question that actually changes things, start here. What helps you feel safe enough to be fully yourself with someone? That question is gold when asked from the right place, not because it hypnotizes her, because it reveals whether the two of you are even standing on the same ground. Then listen, really listen. If she gives you something real, meet it with something real. I respect that. That makes sense. I'm not here to rush you. Or if the connection is stronger and the moment is right, I feel drawn to you and I'd rather be honest than vague. That is a man speaking from his center. And if she says she's not there, good. Thank her for the truth. Mean it. Then walk with your spine intact. No bitterness, no sulking, no last-minute sales pitch. Nothing makes a man look smaller than trying to renegotiate a boundary he just heard clearly. You don't need to become cold. You need to become clear. You don't need to manipulate. You need to perceive. You don't need a trick. You need standards. You don't need guaranteed success. You need the strength to survive honest outcomes. That's the shift. And the beautiful part is that when you live this way, rejection stops feeling like failure. It starts feeling like filtration. It's not, why am I not enough? It becomes good. Now I know what is actually here. That frees you. It frees your words. It frees your body language. It frees your masculine core from the exhausting job of constantly auditioning for approval. Then intimacy stops being a trophy and becomes what it was always meant to be. A meeting. Two people. Two nervous systems. Two truths. Mutual willingness. Shared pace. Honest signal. No force. No theater. No mask. And if you are not there yet, if you still feel the old hunger, if you still want the cheat code, if a part of you is angry that this is not giving you some slick line she can't resist, then good. That means you are close to the real lesson. Because the part of you that wants the trick is the exact part of you that has to die if you want real power. Let it die. Let the needy performer die. Let the approval addict die. Let the manipulator die. Let the boy who confuses access with worth die. And let the man be born. The man who can desire deeply without losing himself. The man who can ask directly without becoming heavy. The man who can hear truth without falling apart. The man who does not chase intimacy like a beggar because he carries enough self-respect to know that what is right for him will not require him to abandon himself to get it. That man is rare. Be him. When you become him, your questions change. Your pace changes. Your standards change. Your whole life changes. Because this is not just about women. This is about how you show up everywhere. At work, in conflict, in your habits, in your purpose, in the mirror. Are you congruent or are you performing? Are you rooted or are you reaching? Are you choosing or are you pleading to be chosen? Answer that honestly and you will know exactly what to fix next. You do not need another mask. You do not need another line. You do not need to become more deceptive. You need to become more integrated, more disciplined, more honest, more calm, more selective, more unwilling to betray yourself for temporary validation. That is the real edge. So the next time you feel the urge to search for the perfect question, remember this. The question is not the weapon. You are the message. Your nervous system is the message. Your self-respect is the message. Your ability to stand in truth without forcing an outcome is the message. And when that message is clean, your words finally stop sounding like tactics and start sounding like a man. You are not here to trick your way into intimacy. You are here to become the kind of man intimacy recognizes. That is why you are the answer. If you want more truth like this, subscribe, because you do not need more comfort. You need clarity you can carry into real life when nobody is there to coach you. And if you're building that stronger standard, that calmer mind, that cleaner masculine frame, then you already belong here.